Hello everybody. In this screencast, we're going to look at how to parse a simple JSON object. Okay. So let's look at this simple API. So we have this API, which is a person. So now when you run it, it returns back a JSON object. How do I know? Because it starts with curly brackets. You see it has curly brackets. Curly brackets signify an object. And you go in here, you could see that it has the first parameter is called status, and its value is okay, and then comma to signify the next parameter, which is person, and then under person it's a curly bracket. This means start with curly bracket. This means it's an object, and the person has a name, has an ID, and has an age. These are all parameters, okay? And then the person has an address, and then this address is also an object. So when you click here, you could see that the address object has some other data, like for example the line 1 of the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. So basically you could see how objects are being specified. Objects always start with a curly bracket, okay? So they start with a curly bracket and end with a curly bracket, and then it's key and value. So key here, for example, key is always a string, which is, say for example, status, and the value here is a string. But then you could see that this is a key, which is person, but the value is a JSON object, okay? It's not just a string, it's just an object. How do I know it's just an object? Because it starts with curly braces and ends with curly braces, okay? Or curly brackets and ends with curly brackets. Okay, so basically you could see how could we parse this. So the easiest approach is, let's go and look at a simple approach using what we know so far, and then I will go ahead and add more on the simple example to show you how to parse other kinds of content. Okay, so let's see. So basically I'll use the Almafire, and you could see my pod file. I'll use the pod file for it only has Almafire in it. Okay, so this is what we used in the previous videos. But in the previous videos we were parsing a string, right? So we were expecting the response to be a string. In that case, we just indicate that the response is going to be a JSON. Response is JSON. Response is JSON. Okay, and basically it just takes the same approach. Now actually, even if I just run this, you will see that if I take this URL, the initial examples we had, the response was going to be a string, but here the response is going to be JSON. So now let's run it and see what Almafire is going to do. It's going to do the serialization, meaning it's going to take the response and it will convert it into something that you can use into your code. What is something that you can use into your code? It's basically, it will convert it into a dictionary. And you could see here that it's a print success, it's being printed here, and then this curly bracket is to indicate the start of the dictionary, and then this is a key, and then this is the value, and then you have another value, you have another key, and then you have the value. Okay, so it changes it to a dictionary. So let's see. So if you don't believe me, I'll show you. It's a dictionary, key value pairs. So basically what's going to do is that key value, okay, and then you have key and then value. So basically, how do we do that? Let's say we go here and say let data equals response.result.value. Okay, this is response.result.value, which is the value of what is coming in, and I will say that as I want it as a dictionary where the key is a string and the value is anything. Okay, so now if we response.result.value, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's response.result.value. okay, as basically we want it as a dictionary. Okay, well, the dictionary is key is a string and the value is any. Okay, so now let's say we want to get this status value. So what I could do is I could say print data, and I wanted the status. So I run this. Okay, you will see that here it is. I'm getting the status. Now, what if I want to get the person, say for example, age or name, right? That's also straightforward. What I could do is I want the person's name. I'll do it this way. So basically I'm able to get the status. So now I need to go to the person. I'll get the person. Okay, And then once I get the person, I want to get what? Under the person, I want to get his name. All right, so basically I want to get the person. That gets me the person. And then after that, I want to get the name of the person. So run it again. Okay, so basically it needs to be, we need to, after you get the person, you need to unwrap it because it's optional. You could see here it's optional. Even the status is coming in as an optional. Right, so run it again. Okay, so the problem is that we need to get the person, right? It doesn't know how to go from any. So this value is any to it. So basically what I need to do is I need to do it like this. Let person equals data of person as, same story, as string any. Okay, so now I have the person now, so that gets me the person, right? Now all what I have to do is just say person.date, person of name, right? So now when I run it here, you will see that what I'm getting is I'm getting the name of the person, see? So basically this line, what it does is it takes the person, right? The data, what is data again? Data is everything that's coming in, but we casted it to a string any. It's a dictionary. So the key is a string, the value is any. Now we can get children or the content of the dictionary. We say data, and then this is the key value, right? And that's why we're getting status. If you go back to the API, you will see that you have this dictionary has two values. It has status and has person. So you can go in and get status, and that's basically what we did here, data of status, and that's why we're getting the okay, right? Similarly, the person is not just a simple string. So basically the person is an object, right? Objects are signified as key value pairs. Okay, so basically I can go in and get the name. Now, if I want to get the address of that user, I can do that also. I could say let address equals person of address, right? As also string any. Why? Because if you look at the address under the person, has a lot of information. The address is also an object. So objects are also key value pairs. Key value. That's why the key is string and then value. So we signify them as dictionary. So basically I got the address of the person, of the user. Now if I want to get the state, for example, that this user lives in, I would say print address of state. I'll run it again. And then you will see that we're able to even drill down and get this data. So for example, we can get the status, get the name of the person, and we get the object, or for example, the state where this person lives. Now, if I want to store this person into an object, also that's straightforward. I'll go here, I'll create, maybe I'll create a new file. I'll call it models, a Swift file. I'll call it my models or data models. Right, so here we are. So I created data models. Now we go here. I'll create a class. I'll call it person, right? So that's the person class, right? And then also maybe I can create another class. I'll call it address. Okay, so each user has an address, and I know the address has some strings that I'm going to create. City. Okay, so I'll say I'll have var line 1 is a string, var city is a string also, var state is a string, and I could say zip file, the zip code var zip, I'll make them all strings. Okay. Now the person has what? Has an age. So let's say the age is a number. I'll make it an integer. So let's say var age is an integer. Okay. Var ID is a string. And then var name is a string. Okay. Now, what I could do here is I can create an initializer. The initializer, I can pass it maybe the, oh yeah, and the person has an address. So basically var address is address, right? So basically is of kind address, right? Now what you are going to receive, I could do init, and maybe the parameters that I'm going to pass is just going to be maybe JSON. Okay, so I can say JSON of type, and it's going to be string any. That's basically what I'm going to receive from the API. So when I call the API, I'm going to receive the string of any, which is basically going to be this guy, right? Which is the person guy that we just created, which is string of any. And then we can go in and get this data. So basically, if we go here, back to the data model, I can go here and say, let be, so that you already have the JSON for the person, right? So I could say, name, okay, self dot name equals JSON of name. I can do that, right? Which is the name here. This is the name, right? I can also get the ID. I cannot assign any, so basically I have to cast it to string self dot age equal JSON of age as an integer. Self dot maybe ID equals JSON of ID. Okay, perfect. So now I'm able to get, then I could do let A equals JSON of address, right, as string any, right? And we can do the same thing with A here. We can do an initializer here also, init, and it's JSON. I'm gonna pass in a string any dictionary, right? And we do the same thing. Basically, we will follow exactly the same thing. Instead of this, instead of name, we'll say line 1, and it's line 1. Right, so we could do it like this, line 1, then we have city, yes, city, and then state, and then zip code. Okay, so we can initialize it. So what I could do here, I could do, this is A, and then I could say self dot address equals address of A. So basically this A is, I could call it address JSON, right? Okay. So basically we are able to initialize the address, we're able to initialize the person, and so on, right? Now you can also worry about this never reproduce nil and so on. So basically we can look at that and so on. But let's say we go back and run it and see if we can do this. So basically all of this, we got the person JSON. This is the person JSON, right? Now what I'm going to do is that I will say let person equals person of type, and then I say person JSON. And say here, just to put a breakpoint. Now when I run it, let's see. So we ran it, and we stopped. Oh, it's not happy for some reason. The number, you cannot cast a string to a number. Okay, so basically it's not happy with this. Oh, okay, I see. See, the interesting part is that it thinks that this is a number. Okay, it thinks that this is a number. So now we want to cast it to a string. So the easiest way is to say string of, and or we could just let's comment it out so that at least we could see what else is causing a problem. I'll comment it out and we'll fix it, but it's just a casting issue, right? Cause it here, and we did get the person. Now when you look at the person, you can see that the age is 25. The ID is nil because we commented out things. This is the name of the person, and then when you look at the address, you could see things looking okay, right? Now it doesn't like the ID for some reason, so let's see. So the ID, we are trying to take the ID and cast it to a string, and it's not happy with that. It thinks it's a number. Okay, so now to fix that issue, we just need to maybe change it to force it to be a string. So how will we do that? Let's have a look and see. Go back again to my data model, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say string of maybe character sequence, or maybe another string. I'll say string of string. Is there one called string of string? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is one easy way to do this is, okay, let's see. Let's say string of character sequence, and I will say JSON of ID. Let's see what happens when you do that. Let's run it and see. No. It's an any. Okay, so what if we do it like this? We do it equal to this, and then we cast it to JSON without casting. I'm just going to, it's going to force it like this. So I'm forcing it into becoming a string. So let's run it. Okay, perfect. So here's the person. When you look at the person, I got the ID. Here we are. Okay, I have the ID. You have the name, and we have the address information, okay, and we have the zip code. Very simple, very straightforward. We don't need this stuff. I just added. Sorry, we don't need the status stuff because we just had it for just demo purposes. But you can see that we are able to parse the person from the JSON object into to move it into a person object, right? Okay. So please let me know if you have any questions. In the next example, we will look at how we handle arrays. Okay, thank you.